So a shocking person has now entered the arena to debate free speech. So you guys all know Republicans 2.5 minutes ago were screaming that they love the First Amendment and they love free speech and even offensive speech should be allowed. Well, they all flipped on a fucking dime the second the issue became Israel. You have these pro-Palestine protesters who want the U.S. to stop arming and funding a genocide carried out by Netanyahu. We want these universities to divest from Israel. All perfectly reasonable things. Well, all these free speech-loving Republicans immediately were like, arrest everybody in sight! Arrest everybody in sight, I say. So Greg Abbott is the perfect example of this. This is a guy who signed a bill not that long ago. It was literally a pro-free speech on college campus bill. The whole point was, we believe in free speech here. You can debate anything. That was the whole point. That was the whole point. He was virtue signaling about being the most pro-freedom of speech. Okay, then this happens. You have pro-Palestine protesters who start protesting at UT Austin. You have morons like this Greg Price guy, this conservative influencer. He says, pro-Hamas idiots at UT Austin discover what happens when you try to pull a Columbia in Texas. Okay, pro-Hamas is just a smear. Like, you're just smearing them. That's not true at all. It's like when people used to say back in the day when you opposed the Iraq War, you're pro-Saddam Hussein. You hate the troops. It was a dumb smear back then. It's a dumb smear now. But this is what we call a police state. This is what we call an authoritarian crackdown. You're doing free speech I don't agree with. Let's throw you in jail. So, of course, this Greg Price idiot supports that. Abbott comes in from the top rope. Arrest being made right now and will continue until the crowd disperses. These protesters belong in jail. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated in Texas, period. By the way, making up that they're anti-Semitic. Totally making it up. These are people who want to stop seeing babies be carpet bombed. He's like, oh, you hate Jews. Total smear. This is what they accuse the left of. They accuse the left of, you call everybody racist and bigoted and transphobic on a whim. You immediately jump to that. This is what you're doing with anti-Semitism, you fucking clown. You're anti-Semitic because you think Palestinians deserve rights. Spare me. He says, students joining in hate-filled anti-Semitic protests at any public college or university in Texas should be expelled. So, crack their skulls, arrest them, expel them. This is what happens. You're going to be surprised to see who chimed in. Ann Coulter comes in. Great to see Republican governors abandon free speech the moment they don't like the speech. She continues. This is why we have a First Amendment. Otherwise, it's always speech for me, but not for thee. Damn, Ann Coulter. So look, I'm going to ask you guys. There's different flavors and varieties of conservatives, right? And you have some conservatives, honestly, most conservatives, I would say, they are sycophantically pro-Israel. And some of that stems from the evangelical fundamentalist Christians who believe the end times is going to happen there and we need to back Israel because Israel needs to have all the land for Jesus to come back. And they want the apocalypse and they want most of the Jews there to go to hell and some to get saved. That's one group of evangelical right-winger that loves Israel. But there's also a lot of just like default reflexive Zionism. You have some conservatives who are kind of jealous that Israel has been granted an ethno-state and they kind of want that for white Americans. And so there's like a simpatico thing there, right? You have some who are pro-Israel just because of the momentum of how Republicans have always been pro-Israel. But then there's a new group of right-wingers who are more, let's call a spade here, Nick Fuentes type right-wingers who are just anti-Semitic. And so they're willing to use the issue of like freeing Palestine to gain support. But in reality, their true beliefs are that there's a satanic cabal of Jews that run everything and we need to like dethrone them, right? It's the Nick Fuentes kind. It's not really a debate whether or not Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic. He openly defends Hitler, right? He's with Ye on that front. So, and here's my question about Ann Coulter. Is the reason she's taking this position because she's secretly more of a Nick Fuentes type conservative? Or is she taking this position because she just is a true believer in freedom of speech? I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking this question. I respect and accept the fact that she's coming across as very principled here. I respect that. I accept that. I like that. But I'm asking you, what are the underlying motivations that are leading to her to do this? Look, I hope it's because she's just principled, right? I hope that's the case. But everybody knows Ann Coulter. You remember back, she was one of the biggest Iraq war supporters in the world. Back when there were anti-Iraq war protests, she wasn't talking about no fucking they have a right to free speech. Don't crack their skulls. Don't arrest them. She wasn't saying that shit back then. She had the opposite position back then. So does this stem from, hey, these assholes are trying to protect Israel and protect the Jews, and I don't like Israel and I don't like the Jews, so fuck them, right? I don't know. I'm asking you guys the question, but let's see. I'll say this. I want to see more of the conservative Republicans, more of the people who cloak themselves in the virtue of free speech and the First Amendment. The fact that there are, you could count on one hand the number of these people who have been consistent, right? The overwhelming majority of them. I'm a giant, massive hypocrite. Yes, I'm a hypocrite. Yes. It's kind of astonishing how many have been exposed here. The mask has been ripped off. And you see somebody like Glenn Greenwald, for example, who thought the right was being more sincere on this issue of free speech. Now he's realizing, oh my God, none of these fuckers were sincere. None of them. And that's a real eye-opening moment for people, right? So, anyway, good for you, Ann. But I'm curious what your motivations are. Let me know in the comment section below. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.